He is calling tonight's game here in Los Angeles on ESPN, the final game of the first round of the play-in tournament that is new for all of us, including the longtime NBA head coach and ESPN NBA analyst, Jeff Van Gundy. How are you, Jeff Van Gundy?
Doing fine. How are you?
I am doing well. Let's, before getting into tonight, what you thought of last night's affair, Tatum dropping 50 on the Wizards to set up the Wizards hosting the Pacers, who blew the doors off the Hornets. What'd you think of last night's action?
I thought the Pacers looked really good, and obviously Tatum was great. It's interesting. Tatum had 50, but it's not counted in regular season stats, and it's not counted in playoff stats. So what is it? Like, I don't understand how that can't be construed as a playoff game.
I'm with you, Jeff. I don't understand. Like, so why are we not calling that a playoff game? I mean,
exactly. Like, they're in the playoffs now. So
right.
If they didn't win, they wouldn't be in the playoffs. It's got to go somewhere. You can't have a records set in just a new category called play-in records. That can't be what we want. So anyway, but I thought Indiana looked terrific. I thought Boston, even though they've had, these injuries, it shows just how dangerous they can be in a one-game setting. Now, I don't think they have a chance necessarily to upset Brooklyn, but I was so impressed with how Tatum played, how Kemba Walker played. They were excellent.
Yeah, they combined for 79 points last night, and I guess we can eventually talk about what Boston versus the Nets looks like, and we can assume what it certainly minus Jaylen Brown looks like. But before we get to that, it's just, his statistics, regardless of whether they're regular season, playoff, or State Farm play-in tournament, maybe that's what it is, Jeff. The record goes into a State Farm book somewhere. So what do you make of Westbrook? The numbers, hey, you got a double-double, 20 and 14, but you watch the game, and it's just like that is so not bringing your A game to an A game required moment, mostly once again for him.
I think Washington did a really good job of getting to the 8th seed, and the difference between 8 and 9 is obviously all you have to do is win one game to get in the playoffs. So they didn't play well last night. The Wizards as a whole, but particularly the two best players, Westbrook and Beal, but they get another shot at it. And so it'll be interesting, playing at home. How do they respond? I would suspect they would play well, and no one's more injured than Indiana. It's even hard to know who's in their starting lineup. But they played a heck of a game, really good on offense. Sabonis is terrific. They're going to have their work cut out for them. But I think, the Wizards will bounce back, play a much better game, and they're going to have to if they're going to beat Indiana.
So just, I guess, writ large, once again, Russell Westbrook's game in the playoff. I guess when he was up 3-1 against the Warriors, when he was a teammate of Durant, was is his high watermark of his playoff career, one would say. Does he? I'll just point blank it. Does he shrink in the big games, do you think, Russell Westbrook?
I don't know. I thought he played I'm trying to remember back, was it Game 4 in the finals against Miami that he was so very good? I'm forgetting now exactly the game, but I don't think it's necessarily he shrinks. I think he has a game that is high risk, high reward. He's not a great shooter. He'll take some risk with his passing, so sometimes he has big turnovers. But he makes some incredible plays to sometimes offset those, non-strengths. And I think overall the teams that have him win at a pretty high rate. So I think, he's an interesting guy. I don't think he's necessarily – I don't get as wrapped up in the triple doubles and like that does not mean as much to me as it does to some. I just like to use my eyes and watch. And I think overall he has a very positive impact on really every team that I've seen him play for. And that doesn't mean there's not ups and downs or things that you wish maybe he did a little bit better, shoot it more consistently. But overall, you get a good effort from him every night. He cares deeply about winning and his teammates and his coaches. And that, for a great player, is not always the case. So I really respect him and what he's been able to accomplish.
Jeff Van Gundy here on the Rich Eisen Show. What are you looking forward most to seeing tonight between the Lakers and the Warriors? You call them this game.
Well, I think the Lakers are obviously the much better team when healthy. I think Steph Curry has the superpower to carry any team in a given night. So I'm really interested to watch how the best team defensively in our league defends Curry through the regular season. They've defended him very well. They're big. They're smart. And I'm really interested in that. And if he can't have one of those, superpower nights, is Wiggins good enough to go get 25 to 30 tonight so that they'll have a chance to score enough to win?
So is the MVP playing in this game tonight for you?
One thing I would say is, I don't vote on those awards because I don't see, every team enough to say that's the guy. But I do believe this about Curry. There is absolutely no player more valuable to his team than Steph Curry is to the Warriors. So you could be as valuable. You could vote and make a serious case for Jokic, and he's had a remarkable year. But when I watch the Warriors, I think I'm looking at a guy who's as valuable to his team as any player that I remember in basketball.
I just have a difficult time again saying that Jokic is the MVP because of what the Nuggets did with him and what he did for them, and it is remarkable with the injury of Jamal Murray occurring and what he did after that. But Curry doesn't, get the credit for being most valuable based on the fact that he didn't have Klay Thompson. He knew that from the jump, and so I can't compare the two. Now you could sit here and say Jokic's team was 22 games above 500, and that's a different story. And obviously the Warriors are in a play-in game in that sort of netherworld of a play-in game tonight. That's the argument. I can't square that argument, Jeff Van Gundy. That's the one I have a problem with.
Yeah, and I don't think you have to. I know there's people out there who look at numbers and, they'll come up with these, what they call advanced stats, and you can call them that or you can call them BS. I think you can make a case for a lot of it, right? But when you're talking about Curry, I think this is the best and most powerful I've ever seen him at helping a team dramatically overachieve. It's not just the numbers he puts up. It's the gravity he draws to himself that opens up opportunities for the complementary players that they have that are okay, but certainly not, standout complementary players. But because of his greatness attracting so much attention and how he plays the game off the ball, it generates such high-quality shots for the other guys comparatively to what they could get when he's not in the game that I think that has been a little bit overlooked. And that is not to diminish Jokic at all. Jokic, if you vote for him, that makes sense. There's no question he's had a great year, and he's done for the Nuggets what Curry does for the Warriors, which is they play great even when guys are out with injury because he's that good. And he is certainly the best passing big man I've seen since Walton and Sabonis. He is a fabulous, fabulous passer.
Jeff Van Gundy here on the Rich Eisen Show. As Monty Williams, Chris Paul, and the rest of the Suns sit at home tonight and watch you and the rest of the ESPN crew broadcast this game, who do you think they're rooting for? I know that they'll play whoever they got to play, et cetera, so on and so forth.
Yeah,
deep down.
I'm sure they're rooting for the Warriors. You know, they're not going to say that, but it would make sense. The Warriors aren't as good a team. And I don't even know, like, this idea, we don't want to give them any bulletin board material. Guess what? Like, the Warriors know the Suns want them to win, and the Suns want the Warriors to win. Does that mean that it would be a walkover of a series? Absolutely not. But it would give them a better chance to win in the first round. But I like the whole Suns attitude. Whoever we play, we're not going to try to manipulate by dropping games. We're going to play who's in front of us because our goals are we got to beat everybody. So we're going to play who's ever in our path. And I think that mindset is a championship mindset. I think it gives them the right attitude going into the playoffs, regardless of who they end up playing. But they certainly would rather face the Warriors.
Well, I mean, there was such a conversation over the last weekend that the Clippers and Ty Lue purposefully lost the last two games to avoid being in the part of the bracket that sees the Lakers prior to a Western Conference final. And, you know, Ty saying, I don't care what people say. I don't read Twitter, Snapchat, or whatever he says. But what about the idea that you want to get the Lakers now, like right now, before where there might be some doubt in their heads that there is still maybe LeBron not 100%, as he says he'll never be that way again. Like, what about the concept of getting them now? Go for it. First thing right out of the gate.
Well, I think, Rich, it's like I agree with everybody. I agree with Ty Lue. He shouldn't care what anybody else thinks. He has to make decisions that are in the best interest of the team, whatever he feels those are. Then people who are judging those decisions have every right to say, I think it's weak what they did. And that they are trying to, they're not necessarily like strategizing health. This is about avoidance. Like and so you can agree with, I agree with both people. Like, I agree that Ty Lue, he should do what he feels gives them their best chance. I also agree that the media shouldn't be constrained from judging what the decisions are. But I do believe the Clippers have the best talent in the Western Conference. I don't even think it's particularly close. Now, I thought that last year as well. And they didn't play as well in those last three games against Denver as they would have wanted to. So I'm interested to watch how they play this year in the playoffs. Are they steeled a little bit from that failure last year, or that, and I shouldn't say failure, disappointment last year? Are their best players going to play their best when their very best is needed, when it gets into the nitty-gritty of these close playoff games? See, those things to me mean a lot more when you have the best team than who you actually play in the first round. Like, if I was the Clippers myself, I wouldn't worry about, I would just try to be playing well. I wouldn't worry. I'm the best team. I'm not worried if it's L.A. or Golden State or whoever it's going to be, Denver, Dallas. I feel I'm better, and we're gonna rock when it comes time to play and play well. And knowing that in the Western Conference, everybody's good, so you're not getting like a break no matter who you play. It's not like Dallas with Doncic, if they're healthy, is any piece of cake. So I like Ty Lue's attitude. I think the critiques are justified, and like I'm just so interested in how the Clippers respond and how they play, because I think, like I said, I think they're the most talented team in the West, and I think they should feel that way and have that confidence, but it's got to be backed with action.
Before I let you go, Jeff Van Gundy, what a moving weekend it was at the Hall of Fame, and watching everybody go in from obviously Duncan and KG, who you coached against, Rudy Tomjanovich, who you eventually succeeded as Rockets coach, and then of course there's Kobe Bryant, and and others that went in. Do you have a great Kobe story that you can share with us? Your favorite Kobe story, whether it was coaching against him or broadcasting one of his games, Jeff?
Well, I think I loved coaching against him because great players like Duncan and Garnett, they humble you because even when you have what you think is a solid plan, they can, rip that plan to shreds. But I was broadcasting, and it was one of the years, I don't know if it was the year, it must have been the year the Celtics beat him. What was that, 2008? And I had said Kobe was first team all defense. And in game one, I said I thought Kobe would be on my first team all last 5 minutes of a close game defensive team. But all defense, I don't think, because he's had so much on him to score, I don't think he deserved to be on the all defense, right? I said I think Shane Battier, who I coached in Houston, should have been. So before game two, we're going to interview, players and coaches, and Bryant is in there, or Bryant is coming in, and he walks around the hall and he walks in, and he says, I can't wait till you come back to coaching because I'm going to effing shut your best player down. I promise you that in the first game. And it was great how he went back at me for critiquing his defense. That's the thing I loved about Bryant. Like Bryant, everything was personal. Everything was a challenge. I loved coaching against him. I appreciated him for the love of the game and the competition. And, he was the last of a breed of workhorses who, played every game and played through things that, we're not going to see it again. And I just appreciate him for getting the numbers, for just the great competitor he was.
Yeah, there's no load managing Kobe Bryant. So what did you say to him when he said that to you in that meeting? What did you respond?
Oh, I said, we're going right at you the first 5 plays because I know you're not guarding all 5 plays. Come on. Yeah, and he had a few more choice words for me. But see, that, what the thing that I was told this, like I think, or I read it, try hard not to offend, try even harder not to be easily offended.
Right.
And like Kobe Bryant, even though I don't know him well, just competition, great respect for him and his greatness. But like you could say stuff like that to him and you didn't feel like, you weren't trying to offend and he wasn't easily offended, but you could banter back and forth. And again, he didn't have like delicate feelings. So it was to me, it was easy to talk to him. Even though I didn't know him great.
Jeff, really appreciate the call as always. Look for my call throughout these playoffs that will, I guess, begin officially once the play-in tournament's over, since this technically isn't a playoff game. That said, I will be with the rest of the country watching you tonight. So thank you.
All right. Take care, Rich.
All right. That's Jeff Van Gundy from the worldwide leader in sports. Warriors, Lakers tipping off tonight with Jeff and the rest of the gang on the call. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.